hope. Hello, everybody. So yeah, third stream this week. I am, guess, able to stream a couple of times. I cannot promise to keep this up, but yeah, for now, trying to. Well, I want to get back to weekly streaming, not like 3 times a week, but I'm having fun with the with playing around with the 4.4 and seeing what I can do in physics and improving what we can do in Godot XR. So we're going to work a little bit more on that tonight and just see where we end up, and yeah, just go from there. So last stream we worked on just the door mechanic and the drawer mechanic. I'm going to park that for a little bit. There's some more things that I need to. That is a punching bag, yes. And you can punch it, and it will actually react properly. I'll show that in a second. Actually, I can show it now, because we can have a quick run through the demo. That's probably not a bad idea. Which reminds me that I need to first go and make sure that Steam Link is running. Cat, you are really being very, very naughty today. I hope my cat's not making too much noise in the background, but for some reason she is very much attention-seeking tonight. And it's not like we're not giving her enough attention. Why do I have 2 desktops? Oh! Ha! It's seeing my teleprompter as a desktop. I'm not using my teleprompter right now, but this machine. Alright, let's quickly have a look at what this is looking like. Okay. Oh, didn't hold it long enough. Here we go. So, here's a punching bag. Oh, and completely ran into it, but I can go and punch it again, punch it some more, and grab it, sort of swing it around, punch it again. Now, we don't really have poses yet on the hand, so I can't really make fists yet, but that's something that eventually we will work on. Now, the other thing that we have that I wanted to look at tonight is this little guy here. I need to get strafe going. I've only got other things there. Yeah, that's my little ragdoll guy that can pick up and then move around. But I don't know if that's really very visible. I'll turn around here. You guys can maybe see that a bit better. Yeah, he's almost like an inflatable thing that's half deflated. So I want to make the ragdoll physics work a little bit better. Yeah, so that's something that I'm thinking about working on tonight. The other thing is the little camera doohickey. I want to make sure that I can actually move that around while I am recording instead of it just being there. So yeah, that is I think more than enough to start looking into tonight. Hey, Square Peg, how you going? Nice of you to join again. I think I'm going to start with our good little dummy and see if we can go and improve him a little bit. Because all that I've done here, and I'll go and... Oh, cool. Yeah, that's actually a really nice idea as well, to deal with the climbable rope. I haven't actually been worked on grabbing static objects yet and being able to pull up on it. That's actually something that I want to start working on as well. But for now, let's start with our little ragdoll. So this is GDQuest's little Mannequini model that he's made available. And all that I have really done is went to the Mannequini model and in the skeleton, yeah. And then in the skeleton, I have selected Create Physical Skeleton. And that creates this physical bone simulator node. That's relatively new, before it skipped on that one. And then it creates all these physical bones with collision shapes. Now, the problem right now is that those collision shapes aren't very good. Because they are, well, by default, and I can probably, no, not like that. I need to do that. By default, they're just these little capsule shapes. Now, I've resized a few a little bit, but that's not really very fitting. But the other thing that is important here is that they are all set. And I have to have a look at how that is set nowadays. Here on the joint, they're all set to pin joints. And that means that they can just move any way around. That's why it's so weird. Did you hear about the new Diver X lighthouse based stations and trackers? No, I haven't. Is that something new from Valve, or is someone else making their own lighthouse solution? That would be kind of cool. I've completely gone through quests. I still have my lighthouses set up. I actually should unplug them because they're just wasting electricity at the moment. But as much as I love my index, I have I just like the fact that I can use the quest without having it wired up. I'm having it wired up now so that it stays powered, but yeah, just being able to use it over Wi-Fi is just so nice. Anyway, hi Jonas, good day. Do you think it is possible to make the ragdoll match a keyframed animation so it follows the animation as soon as the ragdoll event finishes? Yes, actually you can. Someone's already done that. Don't know if I can really quickly find that video for you. But it was shared on the physics channel the other day. Let me see if I can find it. It's not those. It's this one. Now, I have no idea if this is the best way to do it. And that's obviously going to run a commercial. So let me just... You guys can't see it. I've got it on a separate screen. Here. That's the video.
Game environment without having to add a bunch of extra animations.
I actually can't hear if what the audio is. So, but if you search for this from Krig's VS Game Dev, this is a really nice example where he's got a ragdoll body. And then he has a separate body for animation, and he's kind of cloning the animation onto the ragdoll, and it's combining the ragdoll and animation logic. And it's only a few lines of code. So have a look at that. Have a look at that video, and you'll find out how to do it. And actually, that video also gave me the clue that I need to make sure that I set these joints up better. Although we're gonna probably keep the joints fairly straightforward and simple. All right, so someone else is making base stations. That's interesting. Yeah, the wireless ADB is really cool. It works really, really well. Although I'm mostly testing over Steam Link because I'm just focusing on PC VR. But yeah, just being able to push things over ADB while you're not even wired up to your PC is great. Oh, that's actually a really good idea, because as you could see in that video from Krig's, in this case he was interacting with the environment, but sorry, I just need to make sure that my phone isn't going to make noise. As he was bouncing into things, the animation was interrupted by the ragdoll thing, so you could have indeed a pet walking around nicely, and the moment that you pet him, you could actually, have it react without it distorting or without it ruining the animation, really. So that is a really good idea. It should now all be in there, as far as I know, especially in 4.4. Jolt is now standard in 4.4, so as far as I know, everything that he's doing in that video is in the standard version of Godot at the moment. Well, it's pretty cool that they've got an open source tracking system. That would be really nice. I do think that the world is really moving to inside-out tracking. Although you never know. It's going to be very interesting if Valve ever releases their headset, what sort of thing it's going to be. All right. So yeah, there's going to be a little bit of experimentation here about what sort of collision shapes we'll create for things. Something that I really should do for now is just overwrite this material. It's fine to make it white. And we're just going to make this guy transparent. That focus bug is annoying. That is hopefully going to be fixed soon. Just the fact that it scrolls down to the wrong place whenever you unfold things. That is a known thing. People are looking into that, but it's still quite annoying. I'm going to call it a little bit so that it stands out. So this way we can actually see our mannequin, but we can also see where our collision shapes are and everything like that. All right, so I think we're just going to work from the middle outwards. So let's start with this little guy. And I'm actually going to change the color of every shape that we've touched. So I'm just going to go and maybe make that a little bit more reddish. So you can now see that the collision shape is drawn in a different color. I want that to be actually a little bit more clear. So that allows us to see what we're doing. Now the other question is, what sort of collision shape should we use for this? Because I can obviously just go like something like that, but I don't really think it should be a bowl. But whether we should turn it into like a cylinder shape, then obviously much smaller. Oh, I hate that it does that nowadays. Isn't there a hotkey? Oh yeah, there we go. Alt. Alt will do both sides at the same time. Cool. I am happy with that. That's really cool. Because it is a lot nice that we can just adjust one side, but sometimes when you're resizing, you want it to do both sides. Now, the problem is, on one side, the cylinder nicely fills that shape, but that means that we can't actually, we're going to be very limited in our movement of our two body systems. So is this really the best shape that we could do? I don't know. Because the other option would be maybe a sphere shape. And have that in there. Is that actually now moved? Yeah, that is now moved. So let's unmove that. Because that would at least mean that there's some freedom of movement there. And we do still have the collision shape. The last option is, of course, making that a cylinder, but not extending it all the way to the top. Because we are going to restrict movement by the joints. So, yeah, for that reason, I would maybe like to have a cylinder here. So let's go back to the cylinder shape. It's a shame the cylinder is so big by default. So we just fit it to that. And then we just make it fit on the inside here so that we have a little bit of leeway there that we can move things. The capsule is definitely the best collision shape. But the problem that I have is that I can't really make it fill the shape properly. So I'm going to definitely leave everything on the arms capsule shapes. But because this is a 3-part body, we don't really have a good shape there. So we're gonna see how far we get with the cylinder there. Okay. And then we look at this one. Because that's kind of the same deal. Because it really makes me wonder if we... This one, we keep it either a sphere or a cylinder. So that at least the upper body has some roll. Also want to do the same thing, change color. Okay. So what about the joints? When we look at the physical joints. So obviously we want to make that. I guess we want to make that a 6-off joint. But how do we want to set that up? So the linear limit is how much it can move. We don't want to move it. We just want it to be angularly going, but by how much, that is then the question. Oh, is the 6th off not working properly? Well, then we're not going to get very far with this, are we? I remember him mentioning that in the video, actually. But I can't remember how he sold it. That's annoying. Oh, did I? No, I don't want to start that. That was the wrong button. Okay. Huh. Okay, Copilot's even gotten into Visual Studio Code. Yippee. So you're saying, let's pull that over here for a sec. Boom. Where are we? Godot servers, physics, 3D, joints. Oh. I guess that's all moved to somewhere else because there's no code here anymore. Where's it gone to in 4 then? That's a big question. Godot generic 6 off. Joins 3D. Oh, it's in modules. I'm looking in the wrong place. So Godot physics is now modules. Right. Oh, it's not copyright. Yeah, modules. Okay. There we go. Oh, well, that's Godot physics, but I'm using Jolt. I am using Jolt. So how is that in Jolt physics? So if we go to joints and we go to 6th off, is that also not implemented? Looks like it's pretty much all implemented in Jolt, so it should be good. Does explain why I've always been having problems with the 6th off joints. But no, it looks like it's implemented in Jolt, so it's purely in here then that it's missing. No, that's all implemented as well. So I'm guessing I'm looking at the wrong thing. Now I'm in 4.4. So in 4.3 you need to install Jolt as a plugin. Yeah, so here we can see that that's all missing. So that is set param. And when we look at the Jolt one, so in 4.4 Jolt is now built in. So is it then also on here? Is that actually the right place to look? Because this doesn't have a set param. Or this is a set param. No, yeah, set Jolt param. I don't know. I guess as long as it's not failing and giving us messages in the output, it should work. You can see if we change anything here. So let's say that if this was 1, which I don't want it to be, yeah, that just works. So not giving me any errors on Jolt not supporting it. So I'm guessing it works. I don't know. Anyway, the big question now is how much do we want to set this up? Because we obviously want to be able to move this, but in which directions do we want it to move? It's not the most intuitive interface. Because I need to set the limit on every one, and the question is, we probably want it to rotate in the X and... No, I'm using Jolt. I completely switch over to Jolt with it. However, knowing what good values are is, of course, another big mystery. And I'm guessing that this is for... Yep. For that one moving. So... oh, that's the other question. Is this in degrees or is this in radians? Well, you know what? I'm just going to try something crazy. So X is minus 30 degrees to minus 90. So we need to quickly know. Can we easily do that here, or do I need to do difficult things? Can this thing do pi? It doesn't really matter. What is it? 3 points. 14. It's an estimation, right? Times 30 divided 180. Yeah, 0.5 for 30 degrees. So actually, the lower limit's minus 0.1. That's fine. But then the upper limit is going to be 4.13 times 90 divided by 180. Right? I did that wrong, didn't I? 3.14 times 90 divided by 180. 1.5. Good enough for government work. We don't need exactness. And then Z 45 to 45. Where are we? Angular limit. So that's 45. 3.14 divided by 180. 0.78. 0.7. Oops. Minus 0.78. 0.78. All right. That's for that one. Wonder if we should also change this. So that would be that one. Let's do the same thing here. And we're just going to start with those two guys and see how that goes. The big question is, should I set that up with pretty much the same values? I think we're just going to try the same values. So, minus 0.5, 1.5. Hold on. That's the upper limit, and that's the lower limit. Really? You know, the upper limits and the lower limits. Let's collapse that one. Oh, did I put that on the... Oh, I put that on the wrong place. I put that in the linear limit. Okay. So angular limit upper is going to be 1.5 minus 0.5. Again, we might be going the wrong way, but that we can always flip around if that turns out to be the case. No, now I'm suddenly on the neck. Here. Why is that complaining? What do you mean a non-uniformly scaled? It's not scaled. Did I accidentally put a scale on this? That is not scaled. That is not scaled. That is not scaled. Not scaled. Godot, you're drunk. I am not applying any scaling. What do you mean this is non-uniformly scaled collision shape? It is not scaled. Whatever. I'm going to ignore that it says that. It's drunk. Probably a weird rounding error somewhere. So, upper limit, lower limit. We got that one. We haven't set the Z yet. Upper limit was 0.78. Lower limit was minus 0.78. Okay. So let's just see what happens with just those two things changed. Ooh, my headset's getting hot. All right. Oh yeah, we didn't. Okay. Yeah, that doesn't look very good, does it? Okay, I do need to make something that we do not make it transparent on running, but that is way worse. And oh, hold on. Dude, why are you in half? Why the frick is it in half? So our linear limit is not working. That makes no sense whatsoever. Yoink. Huh. Really? Okay. So, huh. We have the ability for a linear movement. We have linear limit enabled, and we have a limit of 0. That to me sounds like it should not be allowed to move apart. That's what you're gonna get the electricity bill. Yeah, exactly. The thing is, when you look at the way that the joints are shown, as far as I'm aware, these squares, no, they're together, because when we sort of move that up, this is so hard because there's so many shapes being drawn. It would be nice if only the selected. Actually, can I do that? I might be able to do that. So when we look at collision, no, it's not collision shape. It is. Come on, stop putting things on. Go away, you. Sorry, my little thingy was in the way. So what is this type? This is a physical. Go away here. I'm guessing that's just a physical bone. So if I am correct, if I just do that half, I thought if you did the half thing, then it would only show if the thingy is selected. But I guess not. You know, the nice thing that it gives us error is that I do know quickly where to find the bone that we're working on. That's kind of neat. That it's not supposed to be there, but it is handy. Yeah, I don't know why, even though I've put that, I don't know if you guys can see that because it's right where I am. But I thought that half view meant that it would only show it if selected, but I guess I got that wrong. But yeah, that's the one thing that I don't like about this interface is with all that stuff shown, it is impossible to figure out what's going on. Unless I just didn't change the right type. Godot, no, yeah, no 3 bookmarks. And you can do stuff with colors now as well nowadays. Anyway. So yeah, we can see that there's like a little bit of space there now because I made that 0.1, and if I put it back to 0, oh, it's actually over here. So, oops. Okay, if I remove it all together. Okay, let's see if we remove the linear limits altogether, if that means that it's not allowed to, or if we just don't have a limit at that point in time. Of course, if we don't have a limit, that's going to make... Really? All right, let me just turn that back on. Because somehow, in clicking around, I managed to turn off the linear limit on the X here. That's probably why it fell apart. Let's see if I am right about that. That was just my own bloody mistake. There we go. All right. Are you going to behave this time, my little guy? Yeah, that was the problem. Okay. Now, we can see that the body is actually staying together. Actually, I'm going to do something else to the little rigid body. Because it's actually annoying. So what I'm going to do, just for now, would be nice if we just have an editor only. We're going to remove that thing later. I just want it to be solid so we can actually see what we're doing. I'm just going to go and add a static body in here. And we're just going to go and move that up here somewhere. Boom. Boom. And we'll just add a collision shape. And we'll make that a sphere. But we make that a nice and tiny sphere. And we're going to add a pin joint. And we're going to say that's on our static body. And that's going to be on our head. Where's our head? Where is the head? I guess that's the neck bone then. I'm guessing the neck is the top of our thing. So all that I've done now is I've actually connected our head to this little static body. I'm actually going to move that a bit down. And that means that even when we start the physics thing, it's just going to hang from that, just like the boxing ball or the boxing bag, the punch bag works. So that's not going to work right away because the physics doesn't get, or the ragdoll doesn't get enabled until I grab this guy. So now he's just sort of hanging there. And the reason I wanted to do that is so that I can just sort of test, is there any movement? Well, there's a little bit, not much. But I guess that's actually a good thing. All right. So we have a start. We have, I'm also guessing that's, grabbing the wrong thing. Go away. Oop, my keyboard is in the way. There we go. Yeah, because the bottom of him is actually connected. So we've actually done this joint and we've done that joint. Okay. Don't know how well you guys can see that. I might need to move the camera closer a little bit. Let me actually do that real quick. Again, we really need to get the... No, I need to go this way. I need to have a better way of doing this, but for now, this will do. Okay, so next time around, we're a little closer. Cool. I need some more water. 1 second. Here. All right, so we have all those shapes working properly. No, the top three. I don't really think we care about the bottom one. Let's go back and turn our transparency on again so that we can see what we're doing. There we go. So this bottom one, that's a really interesting one because is that pin joint then controlling those or is that our root? That's our root, isn't it? Yes. So the joint on this one doesn't actually matter because that's the base of our model. So that's not really hinging with anything. Yeah, it's possible that it's actually that's quite easy to double check. Because for that, we actually need to go and find the physical bone 3D. We need to find where the class definition is. No, I want the thing itself. There we go. Yeah, that's really good. That's nice. Yeah, perfect. And what we need to have a look at is bind methods. Good definition. And the thing that we want to do here, let me make it a bit bigger. This. No. No. Where was the... That does not seem to be complete. Join type. Where is the minimum and maximum? Really? Well, let's go back to one of the ones that we were doing. Because we have X, Y, and Z on joint constraints and they're not defined here. So they must be coming out of get property list. Well, we have a get property list, but there's no code in there. What are you called? Angular limit upper. Angular limit upper. Okay. Set angular limit upper. Ah, there's your degrees to red. So it's a bit of a shame that it's done like this, because you can actually give a property hint to Godot that first of all, it will show that these are degrees, but it will also automatically do the conversion from degrees to radians so that your object code, your class code doesn't actually need to worry about that. So yeah, 45 minus 45. That was 90, and that was minus 30, I believe. Let's do the same thing here. 45 minus 45. $90 minus 30. All right, let's see if that looks better. And then let's go and start working on the arms and see if we can make the arms work properly. Okay. So. Well, yeah. No, it's still not really. Oh, it's doing. This one is doing more. Oh, and this one is doing more too. Yeah, that looks. It looks like it. Of course, remember that the collision shapes are also colliding. So even if our angular limits are set right, if it's still colliding between the pieces, then that will limit the movement as well. Genus, well, thank you for joining. Yes, all my videos stay online, so I never delete them. So they are, you can always watch them later. All right. So yeah, that just Dave, that just shows you how important it is that it actually shows us the units, because it makes much more sense for them to be degrees because it's the human values that we fill in. But yeah. All right, so I just want to quickly have a look at what the collision shape for this guy is. And this is where it's really shame that we can't do like oval shapes or, egg shapes. Although I guess I could actually put this. That's probably a good idea. If we look at this collision shape. That one's weirdly rotated for some reason. I think. That's weird. Oh, come on. Let's actually first change the color of this thing. Again, we don't really care about how good the color is, as long as we can just see that it's a different color that stands out. Okay, I do need to go and do this. So I have no idea why. Oh, it's because the bone is rotated like that. Okay, that makes sense. However, I actually want this to be like that. It is in line with the bone, but now I can do that. And I can do this. And again, we have a bit of a gap between those two parts, so there is some movement there. But we now at least have something that kind of fills the body there, which is all right. Okay. Let's go up. Let's go and work here. Now, one of the things that I'm really wondering about is when we look at the shoulders, these ones, they're actually colliding inside of this one, which is kind of one of those things where I'm wondering, like, okay, how... Let's actually, before we go there, let's actually go to the head first. Let's go deal with the head. So this was actually... It's a spline? No, okay, we're not there. So we need the neck. So this is the one. So... I'm not sure why there's such a... Oh, that's a selection box. Okay. Okay, so I had already moved this collision shape to sort of be in the head. It's not perfectly fitting, but it's better than nothing. Let's also change the color there. So that we know that we're handled that one. But let's first change this into a pin joint. Now, the big question is, are we going to go... Oh, sorry, into a 6 dove. Are we going to go and do similar values there? Or do we want more movement? I think I kind of... It would seem that these are actually good values for this. So let's stick to what we know works. But I do think we want to have a little bit of movement on the Y. So let's say that can be 25. And then the Z as well. Minus 45, 45. Okay. Again, I really wish that it would only draw these things for our current selected thing. But it's just getting so messy now. So hard to see what we're doing. Anyway, we got that. Now, the thing that I'm now wondering about is when we look at these clavicles, or however you pronounce that. Hey, Blood Mage, how you going? Blood Mage. Oh. First of all, because this is actually inside here, but also because we're not really going to have much movement in this. Yeah, probably could go all the way to 90 on the neck. That's for sure. Which one's the Y? This one. Actually, let's have a quick look at whether we've got that set up right. But I'm kind of wondering if we should just remove the physics bone on the shoulders and only do the arms. Although we could also really restrict its movement. Oh, I forgot to. So I can move that left and right. I do think that we need to start working with the spring because it's... For some reason it's now rotating. I think we need to use a spring so that it always comes back to center. So we got some damping, angular spring. And this is also the downside. It doesn't actually explain what sort of values we need here. So obviously we're probably going to want a little bit of dampening. And we're going to want to Let's just put it in one and see what happens there. Because that's now the only one that we currently allow rotation on. So hopefully that means that it's going to try and keep the head centered. Okay. I don't really think that's... I need to fix the arms first because the arms are messing things up so much that we can't really see what it is that it's doing. Obviously, that pin joint here, with which we've hung up our dummy. Oh yeah, and I could just hit it as well. I don't actually have to pick it up. It's fully interactable. It's kind of cool. Yeah, we don't know whether it's keeping. I do think it's actually working because it's now rotating on the pin joint that it's hanging by, because we don't have anything set on that. I don't know if you've got something on this one to make it come back. I don't think the pin joints. No, pin joints can just float around. It's just we have a damping to make sure that they don't keep rotating. Dave, you got me there. Yes. I am getting really good at it though. If you, and again, remember XR Tools has been around since early Godot 3 days. So with this new XR Tools 2, if you look at, if I, for instance, go to the player here, and we go, for instance, to collision hands, why is it not describing? Because I've put descriptions on those. There's descriptions on all of these. So if we actually go to the help file, which it should bloody open. Why are you not working? What's this about? You are supposed to give me help. Okay, did we break that? That's broken. That's not good. That was working. Okay, that is, I don't know when that broke, but that was working. I was using that a couple of days ago. Because you actually, whenever you, this is a nice thing. Maybe it's because I put the regions in there. But whenever you put this in front, so these double pound signs and then a description, if you put that right above a thing, it actually creates documentation for that. So for instance, here we say left and right, which hand are we tracking? That should mean that on our hand property here, that description should be showing there. So that is currently broken. Now, I could just try and see if a reload project brings that in. Yeah, that's, I'm not sure why that warning keeps going up, because I'm not using a custom solver bias. Anyway, collision hand, still not. Search help. Two. What's this actually doing? Because it is, no, it's not giving us help without it. Okay, I am actually quickly going to ask that. Actually, before I do, let's double check if the same issue happens here. Yep, that one's true. And this one also. So it's broken. Okay, let me just quickly Sorry, guys, I'm just putting something in. Just putting something in Rocket Chat just so that someone might actually have a look at it while. All right, let's see if someone reacts to that. All right. Check a build-in value. Let's see if that's still working. Yeah, that's still working. So yeah, it seems to have broken on those. But you know, broken or not, yeah, for all this new stuff, and actually a lot in the current XR tools as well. Oh, look at that. Oh, that's an unready part, so that doesn't matter. Where's my collision hands? So yeah, we're putting all these sort of comments in there, and it should actually be in the current version of XR tools as well. You should have a lot of these comments on all the properties and stuff. And they should be coming up in tooltips. So that definitely was working like a day or two ago. So something very recently must have done. This is a master from. Good question. Get log actually. No, the last commit is actually from a couple of days ago. Yeah, so okay, let's make sure that we're okay. Let me just close this for a sec. Git checkout master, because I don't really care about the fix that I was working on right now. I don't really need that for this. Let's pull the latest changes. There we go. Let's go and build the editor. Normally I start it up through there, but because we're just deving, I'm not going to do that. So bear with me while that quickly compiles. Fortunately, whenever you pull master, it has to compile everything again. Well, not always, but very often. Yeah, Blood Mage, it's really cool. The whole commenting, and especially if you define class names, in Godot 4, it works so well. Well, it worked so well. Oh, sorry, I got something stuck. Dum, 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 dum. Sorry, guys, this is gonna take a minute while it just runs through a compile. That's right. Bing, 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 bing. Yeah, made it there. 64%. Handy as I'm used to the doc strings and Python. Yeah, it's that part of it has been, you know, I don't know how long it's been in there because it's been there for a little while, but it's the whole fact that if you set a class name at the start of your script and you then add all those comments in, that it actually adds it all to the help pages. So if you search for that class in the help system, you actually get complete description of your class as if it's a built-in class. It's quite cool. %. Now, this obviously always takes longer when you're actually waiting for it. What do we do? Where are we getting there? 84%. Don't know if anybody has any fun stories to tell while we're waiting for this. 85. Come on, come on, come on. You can do it. Ah, thank you, Tarkan. Thank you for the membership upgrade. That's very much appreciated. You did just do that in the middle of a boring moment where we were just waiting for things to compile. Hey, this is Alex. How you going? Yeah. I'm just compiling the latest master to make sure that I didn't just complain about something that's already been fixed. Oof, that is hard, Dave. Thanks, Sirkin. Much appreciated, dude. Ooh, it's almost there. Hey. All right. That should do the trick then. Alrighty. So let's see if our problem has been fixed in this version. Just do it on the same classes. Nope, still no description available. Okay. Alrighty. Well, I don't have time to fix it right now, but at least I have reported it in the editor channel on the contributors chat. So let's hope someone sees it and it turns out to be a fairly simple little problem that was introduced. Oh yeah, the VTuber model thing. Actually, me and Malcolm still have plans to do something like that as well. But it's one of the many plans that we just haven't had time to do much more with. But who knows? We might actually get to there. But yeah, doing stuff with avatars and stuff is fun. Anyway, we're back to this. So the big question that I have right now is what to do with this. Now, one of the things that I think makes sense probably, because it doesn't make sense to have that collision shape go all the way through. But if we move that collision shape over here and then turn that one into a cylinder shape, which of course, no, not a cylinder shape, a sphere. That's a sphere. Boom. And then we make it nicely the size of that thing. There we go. Then that actually can sort of roll around. It will have some movement. Let's change the color real quick again to something around there. Something around there. There we go. I should probably copy and paste those things. But now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually say copy. And now going to go to the other arm. And we're going to go and say paste. Now we're going to move that one there. So yeah, so we have the same sphere shape on both the shoulders. Let's go and change the color of that one as well, so that we know that we've dealt with that one. However, we are going to want to do a 6th joint on this as well. But we're probably going to want that to be really restricted in turning. We definitely don't want to rotate it. So we're not going to go around the Y. Let me double check actually. Is it indeed orientated around the Y? Blue is Y, isn't it? No, blue is X. So the Y is actually in that direction. Really? Hold on. Transform. Yeah, so that's our Y. So this one, we're going to want to we're going to give it a little bit of rotation around the X. And we're going to go and give it rotation around the Y, but we're not going to rotate around the Z. That is really confusing, that the Z is actually on the longitudinal side, so in line with that. So I'm probably just going to give it like a 30-degree either way, because I don't want the shoulder to move a whole lot. Okay. So where is here? So we said on the X and the Y, we're going to do a 30-degree limit. And here on the Y as well. 30 minus 30. And then let's see how that is on the other clavicle. So that also needs to be a 6th of. And then I'm assuming, yeah, the blue one, again, the Z is in the length of that. So we're going to make the same change here. We're going to make it the X and the Y. Let's go and try that out and see how well that works. Come in, are we starting? Okay, that's weird. Hold on. What's going on here? What the hell is this? What? That is really cool, but at the same time, what? That is actually really cool. But at the same time, I'm kind of going like, what the hell? Yeah, that is very new. Okay. Yeah, interesting. Potentially really, really nice, but at the same time, I sort of go like, hey, that's a bit of a shocking thing. Okay, so good news is that our shoulders aren't completely falling by the wayside, but they are. They're immediately falling 30 degrees down. So definitely these guys, we are going to want to make sure are springy as well. So it's going to try and keep them natural, but that we then can move them up and down. But at least we've stopped the really weird movement. So yeah, actually cool. This one can still rotate floppy and floppy, but that's the next one that we're gonna do. Okay. Yeah, I kind of like it, but at the same time, it's one of those things where I'm sort of going like, I wish that was an option, because like for a stream, the yellow is when you get, and actually it's better to show if I turn the transparency off again. It's actually because that causes the outline for letting you know that you're close enough that you can grab it. So when I come here, you can see that there's like a yellow outline. I don't know if you guys can see that, because obviously from that camera, it might not be very clear, but also for here, for instance, like there's a yellow outline whenever I select something. I nearly knocked my glass over there. So it just became yellow because when we make the object transparent, we see the whole thing. So whenever your hand is close enough to pick something up, we have this yellow selection effect going on. I need to make a spectator view, because I've got the spectator cam. Actually, maybe we should do that real quick as well before I continue. Let's do that just for fun. Let's go here and in preview mode, items, so spectator cam, and I'm going to add a new element here, and that's going to be stabilized. That's probably spelt wrong. Okay. I'm going to have to go and node, item selected, connect. There we go. So that's now there. Okay, cool. So what I now want to do is let's make that a new enum. Preview mode, and it's on spectator cam. Actually, that's always spectator and stabilize cam. Okay. Okay. Cool. So now, obviously, we want to have an export var preview mode. Preview mode is. Oh, that needs to be preview mode.spec. There we go. So yeah, that's now our default mode. That's fine. And in this case, actually, I do want to make that a setter. Value preview mode. Mode is the value, and then if is inside tree, and we're gonna have to make a new var for that as well. On loading screen. That's true. Let's say and not on loading screen. Then we're gonna say update preview mode. Cool. So let's define that function, or not yet got that implemented, but pass. Gonna deal with that in a minute. What are you doing? What are you doing? Annoying. Stupid iPhone. Oh, okay, that's later. Sorry about that. Just need to check if that was important. So yeah, if not on loading screen, then preview mode. So that now means that here, on showing loading screen, then obviously loading on loading screen is true. And oh, we put that in a bad place. That's going to be false. I actually want that to be above here. There we go. So now on that one, instead of doing this, we're going to move these two first. Yeah, and same thing here. I kind of want to put this last. But now here we're going to say update preview mode. So we can move that in here. And here we're going to say instead, we're going to show the spectator camera. Actually, yeah, we still need to hide that one. Preview mode is preview mode dot spectator cam. Okay, so we're going to also add a new camera here. It's actually going to become I'm going to want to do that the same kind of way. So I'm actually going to make that a node. So we're actually going to make that I'm going to make that a new thing in here. So it's going to become equal to stabilize camera. I probably spelled that wrong, but whatever. Okay, so for now we're going to go like this. Yeah, definitely spell that wrong, but I'll deal with the spelling another day. Okay. And this one actually will not matter because there's actually going to be nothing visible there to hide the show. But we do need to do a if preview mode is preview mode dot spectator cam, and okay, so we're gonna have to spectator cam dot current true. That doesn't exist right now because that's actually on the camera here. So we need to go and create a new export variable here. Current. That's going to be default false. Set value. Now that's going to be interesting because now we're not going to go, oops, we're not going to do it like this. We're actually going to make it a method. That makes more sense. because there's a whole bunch of logic inside of Godot. And if you have multiple cameras and you make your camera current, but the other cameras are set to no longer be current, make current, and that's going to be that should be current. Why is that not? Oh, because that is the wrong one. It's that one actually. Okay. Current is yeah, this one has the current property, right? Camera 3. Mask current, yeah. So that one, that property we're setting to true right now. Okay. So obviously, we're gonna want to do something similar here. So that obviously needs to have a script. Stop putting it in there. Yeah, that could be a good one because this one I just kind of want to put where the head is and keep tracking on the head location, but kind of stabilize it because that's the problem that we always have for the head view is, you know, I'm constantly moving my head around and it's sort of tilting, and we can actually make a camera that's kind of smoothed out and more stable. But we'll see how well that works. That should not be an XR camera, dude. Why did I make that an XR camera? That needs to be a normal camera. I'm so used to just getting, and that obviously, let's actually do that as a stabilized. I really should Google how to properly spell that because I have no idea. Anyway, so let's start there and then worry about properly positioning it in a little bit. Which actually also means that one of the things that I want to do here, I'm actually going to make that a top level camera because we have nothing in here that allows us to properly position that. So yeah, we're gonna position that in hindsight, basically. All right. But for now, we don't need to do else if, and I should really be doing a match here, but I can't be bothered. Stabilize camera. So we're making the current one visible. That's only whether we can see it. And again, for this one, it doesn't matter because it's inside our head. We're never going to see it. But this one we see floating around. And then obviously with the visible, we can do more things. But then also we change the current status of the current. And again, when this camera becomes current, any other camera in this viewport becomes no longer current. So that now takes over. Okay. So obviously we now need to do a preview mode is index. And as far as I know, that is counting in the same order. So it should be happy about that. And then obviously that needs to do an update preview mode. There we go. Ta-da. And what we need to do as well over here is follow player visible. That should also be based on this. Because that property or that thing doesn't make sense unless that is current. And that's actually in process. So here we also need to have actually, what is better idea is that I simply say if that is visible. Okay. Then we're going to be doing that. And it's yeah, it's one of those things where that logic should really be inside of the spectator camera, but yeah, well, we're going to be fine with that. So now we got to make this do something. So position inner. Actually, that should not be a double because that's just a thing. And we're just going to do that on our process delta because we know that all our physics is run and everything else. So everything should be pretty much where it should be. Now that's actually an interesting one. Yeah, because the VR camera is always going to be fine. So let's start with our camera tracker, shall we? Okay. Is XR server dot get tracker or is it find tracker? No, get tracker by name. And I believe that one's called head, if I remember correctly. So now we need to get our pose from our camera. And actually, let's just first make that a XR positional tracker. Thank you. Gonna be an XR pose. Is camera tracker get pose defaults. We can find that one and pose as tracking data. Is that a property or is that? That's a property. Very good. Okay, so if we have a pose and we have tracking data, we can get our tracking data. So here we're gonna go and then a camera transform. And now it's got to just transform. We're gonna do a little bit more with that in a minute. But for now, just to make sure that this works, I'm just going to use it as is. So what we're going to do now is we're going to position our stabilized camera. Transform. XR server get. No, it's just world origin. That should be a transfer. Yeah, that's transfer as well. Times camera transform. That should be placing our camera exactly where we're looking. So in theory, if I now go to construct, and I'm actually going to default that to stabilize cam, and now we're going to run this. This should follow our head tracking. In theory. Oh, I do need to go and wait. Come on. Work. Whoop. There we go. Ooh, that broke into something. Oh, yeah, because we changed what that is. So that's going to become make current. No, not is true. Come on. Yeah, there's all sorts of nice little cameras that we can start making in this. So, no, that's not working yet. Why is that not working yet? One thing that I did forget here is I do need to go and turn that off. But, so I've got one of these wrong. Now, I have a feeling that I've got the name of this one wrong. Might not be hat with an H, with a capital H. So let's go and double check what that's supposed to be. Whoops. Really? Yeah, that's there's some things in the what you call it? The HDRI that I'm using. So let me see. It's probably going to be in here. Let's search for head. So yeah, small letter H. Of course. Okay, are you gonna work now? Yay! So now it's all shaky cam again, but it is working. So now what we want to do is we want to stabilize this view so that it's not continuously shaking. Actually, I want to keep it upright, so I don't want to do that, and I just want a little bit of dampening in the movement. All right, and we're only going to do that on the camera tracking. So we're going to go and go that a little bit easier. Hey, none other deaf, Gordo. Great that you're joining my stream for a chance. How are you going? How's your VR development going? Assuming you're still doing stuff with VR, or are you just playing around with other stuff at the moment? And hi, Vishal, how are you going? All right, so let's actually see if there's anybody who reacted to this. All righty. So obviously we're gonna go and start making that a bit nicer. All right, great to hear that it's all working good for you. So are you did you move to 4.4 yet, or are you still on 4.3? I'm having a lot of fun with Jolt. That's really working well. I don't think that Dario's changes have been merged yet, because Dario is working on a whole bunch of improvements in 4.4, which is really nice. DK, this is all Jolt. We're on 4.4 dev, so we're using Jolt here. Oh, you're doing a healthcare app. That's really cool. Love to know more about what you're building there, if your employer allows you to share. Oh, you're on a release candidate for 4.3. Not unstable. That's interesting. I would definitely go and upgrade to stable. But that's just me. Okay. So I think the first thing that I'm going to do is make sure that this is always upper. Ha! Vishal, that's very cool. Yeah, I'm actually about to go down a similar track as well. There's a movement system that someone's done a whole tutorial write-up for. And I don't know if they're using Unity or Unreal, but I want to. Yeah, I was afraid of that. That's the downside of the business app side, is I think there's actually a number of really cool business application XR applications being made in Godot, and you know they don't let us know, and they have an aversion of upgrading. So it's really if it ain't broke, don't try to fix it mentality. So actually that's this one. So this is actually a system where we're using a rigid body for the player, and then the hands are actually joined through a 6-dove joint to the rigid body, which, like you just saw that little animation here, means that when you put pressure around with your hands, it actually affects your body. So this is where you can then also do very natural climbing effects and all that sort of jazz. But what I'm also hoping for, and this is going to be the big thing that I need to find out, is this is already doing rigid body physics on the hands, which is what makes everything that we're doing today so much more easy than it was in XR Tools 1. But the big downside of it is we have a slowdown, a lag on the hands. And I'm hoping that that other approach will solve that lag issue. So I have is a wish it was easier to run the headset without putting it on for testing so that I can run. You can, Gordo, you can. What you need to do is you need to download the Quest Developer Hub, this little thing here. And then you go into Device Manager. And right now, I am not connected because I actually haven't got the ADB. So let me just quickly connect my Quest to my PC. There we go. And you can disable the proximity sensor over here. But also, you can do a cast of the device. So I'll actually do that just for fun. It should hopefully work. So, connecting. And you can see that I'm actually in Steam VR here. Let's actually go to... there we go. So, yeah. And the funny thing is, if you do the casting, together with disabling the proximity sensor, then you can actually use the headset just to dev and test without having to keep putting the headset on and off and on and off and on and off. So yeah, that is and you know, that's just one of the many really cool things in well, the metacast casting is what I just did to capture the what you're seeing in the headset and showing it on the desktop. So yeah, Robin, exactly. So and I want to go down that route because the big problem that I have right now with our current solution, because what we're now doing is we have a rigid body for the hand and we're following the tracked position around because there's no way for us to correctly predict the amount of force that we need to exert on the hand to get the hand to the right position. And when you're using that technology or that approach, then that document that I just showed, you've actually got your 6th joint at the location where you want the hand to be, and it kind of pulls the hand to that through your positional spring. And that should, in theory, unless you're holding something very heavy, should prevent that lag from happening. So if we have enough time tonight, we might actually get into that. Else that's going to be for the next stream where I want to start doing that. My biggest problem with the other approach is I now need to change my character to a rigid body instead of it being a character, and all the logic that I've got for positioning and making sure that that stays on where the player is, that all needs to change to rigid body logic. And yeah, that's a whole different approach, and I don't know yet how we're going to do that. So we actually, our first step, even before we do anything with hand tracking, is figuring out, okay, how can we move the character around, both with physical movement and with joystick movement, if the character is now a rigid body instead of a character body. And you know, that's gonna give us all sorts of other interesting new challenges. Yeah, Dave, exactly. We can, and I already closed it, but there's actually an option right underneath the turning off the proximity sensor is the option to turn on wireless ADB. I tend to work connected when I'm actually developing on the Quest and I'm actually pushing builds out to the Quest, because I found that that's just a little bit more stable. I do have problems with the wireless ADB sometimes sort of getting stuck. And that's actually also one of the reasons why I've actually started using Steam Link a lot more instead of Quest Link. I found Steam Link to be a little bit more predictable, but also the thing that I don't like about QuestLink is that the QuestLink interface is still the old home interface that Facebook/Meta made, or even I think it was even made in the Oculus days. That was made for the original Rift, and yeah, it feels a little bit dated. The whole screen sharing and casting and all that sort of stuff in Steam Link it just feels more polished. Don't know why. They're not very far apart though. It's for just running games, it's fine. It's just the other things around it. I find Steam VR to do it a little bit better. Yeah, I really need to make sure that name gets correct. It's bugging me that I haven't spelled that right. Actually, let's see. Stabilized. So it should be stabilized. Okay, I'm gonna rename that one as well. Stabilized. Stabilized. So now what we need to do is stabilize. Sorry, it just started to bug me too much. I want to fix this. Okay, so we obviously need to fix the names. So let's go and close that. Close that. I kind of like closing files before I rename stuff. Add-ons. So let's rename the files first. There we go. I just have bad experiences that if the files are open when you rename, that it tends to screw up. Okay, you've got those two done. So now we can go back into our construct scene. That's the only thing. I'm always searching down, but I need to actually be at the top to go there. Okay, let's move you back there. Then obviously you need to be stabilized. That means that this should be stabilized. Yeah, you're not gonna like that because I haven't renamed it over here yet. Find and file, stabilized, finds the still one. Stabilized. Okay, so in theory, I should now have got everything renamed and spelled correctly. Yay! Okay. Cool. That means that I do want this to have proper camera, proper name. Okay. Yeah, I agree, Roman. It's I'm a little bit on the fence that one of the downsides that I find when things are going too far to try and do realistic physics, that it actually gets a little bit in the way of how you're playing. So sometimes just toning it down does have its advantages. And I'm going to try and find a good middle ground, or at least try and find a way to properly deal with it. Anyway, so we need to go and stabilize this camera, which we're going to do, first of all, by making it upright. So that's the first thing that I want to do here is I want to make sure that we get the Z-tilt out of there. So let's think of the best way to do that. I think that's just the best way to just say that camera transform is in relatively local space. So we're just going to make Godot do all the hard work for us. So here we then need to do camera transform origin, and we need to go transfer phases.z. I think we need to add it in because but it might be that it now ends up pointing backwards. So let's see if that already takes the tilde out. It's still not fully stabilized, but we're going to start with that. All right, let's see how well that works. Got find my controller. Thank you. All right. So, yeah, like I said, forward and backwards is reversed. Now, there's two ways that we can solve that. We can actually go and that falls off of there. So I'll show that actually on the help. We can actually turn that one to true, or we can just be simpletons and just take off, negate that one. Oh, I just dropped my controller. Oh, there we go. My controller is back. Okay, let's see. There we go. So let's go and have a look. Yeah. So now, even though if I'm swinging around, my camera stays upwards, but I'm still shaking and doing that sort of stuff. So that's just what we're gonna just add a very simple damping function in there. So for that, obviously, we're going to need to keep track of the previous location, previous transform. There we go. Now I always like to, we don't really have one in the first frame. So we're going to do something that if the distance between the previous transform's origin and the camera transform's origin is bigger than a certain amount, that we just copy it. Okay. So in this case, what we're going to do is if camera transform origin, take away previous transform the origin dot length. Should really length squared if I really want to be proper and save some performance, but I can't be bothered. Okay, if that is smaller than let's give it half a meter. If we haven't moved more than half a meter, we're actually going to do our stabilize. And that means that at the end here, we can do our previous transform is our camera transform. So we're obviously going to adjust our camera transform right now. So in this case, we actually want to sort of lerp our transform to our camera transform. Now I think we actually have a lerp on. Do we have a lerp on? No, we don't. We do have a lerp on the bases. I thought that was a lerp on transform as well. Can this do it? Okay. For better, use the lerp F. Interpolate with. Okay, that sounds good. Returns the result of linear interpolation between transform and xform. Okay, that kind of sounds like what we need. Okay. Camera transform is previous transform. Interpolate with camera transform. Half for now. Probably want a different value than that, but I just want to see what it does, or if it does something that makes sense. Okay. So yeah, that's already a lot more stable. I'm thinking that we're going to make that value something that we can set. Let's make that an export. 0.0, 1.0, 0.01 var weight is, let's just start with 0.2 and see how well that does. So now we're going to go and put weight in there. All right, let's just see how well that does. And then the thing that I want to actually do is on here in my UI is we're going to add a slider in there. Horizontal slider. We're going to call that weight, because that allows us to play around with it. So our minimum value, actually, I don't want that to be all the way to 0, because its value of 0 doesn't make any sense. Obviously, we want to do that. We want our starting value to be that 0.2 that we just had. Okay, cool. Sweet. So we now have a slider that we can adjust. Obviously, we need to hook up its signal. What's the difference between value change? Emitted when value changes. When using a slider, this is called continuously while dragging. And that's at the end. I want to do that immediately. Okay, no. So yeah, let's go and it crashed. Yay! I hope I didn't lose anything there. I'm not sure when I last saved. That sucks. Yeah, man. Okay. Well, we lost our slider, so we definitely lost that one. Horizontal slider. Right. 0.1, 1.0, 0.01, 0.2. Cool. Let's hit save this time. And boom. Okay, we're gonna do that in a minute. I just want to check what else did we lose. That's still there. That's still there. Our weight changes there. Okay, so it looks like we did not lose our property at least. That's a good thing. All right. So in our construct, in our ready, the first thing that we want to do. I don't really like. Because I've made all of the other ones all. Yeah. The problem is that this is such a common word. So if I make that unique, I'm feeling that I might get into problems. So I'm going to go and actually rename this stabilize weight. And now I'm going to make that unique. Because as far as I know, when you make a node unique so that you can access with a percentage, it needs to be unique with the whole scene tree that you've got loaded. Could be wrong about that. I don't know for sure. But yeah. So at this point in time, when we are, oh, that's also something that I forgot. So obviously here I need to pretty much, oh, I'm hiding the whole UI, so that's good, but I forgot to hide this one here. Cool. Dave, the unique thing is, I think, early 4.4. So it is new. Might be a 4.3, but I'm not 100% sure, but it's a relatively new feature. Okay, and here, dot visible is, oops. So we're going to copy that from there. Let's just group these by type. That'd be nicer. Okay, so now we need to actually make that work. So the first thing is, in our ready, we're going to say stabilize weight. Let's put that back in our copy. Weight. No, sorry. This needs to be value equals percent XRT2 stabilize game dot weight. Cool. So we're going to initialize that with that. Now I'm just going to copy this because over here, actually, we don't need you. We just need you. We just copy the value over into that. Yeah, it might have been added early on. It's definitely a Godot 4 feature, but I don't know how long it's been in there. But it is relatively new. Come on. Yep, there we go. Sorry, sometimes when it starts up, it's not finding out. So now the question is, the higher does the stabilization get better or worse? Okay, that's 0.1. That actually feels the best. So I'm actually wondering if we should even go lower. Let's see if we allow it to go all the way to 0.01, because I think that a very low value might actually be best. Ow, stuck. Because the higher we put this, the more unstable it feels, and when we put it really low, oh, that is too low. Now it's just, yeah. Now it's too laggy. Obviously, you know, the laggy is better for spectators, but yeah, exactly. We're going 10% of the value there. And obviously, the lower it is, the more laggy it becomes, but also the more stable it becomes. Yeah, so what I think that we're going to do, definitely it should be like that. Let's put it on half and see if that's good. But the other thing is, because the stabilized weights, I don't want to make that a really big slider, but I think that we're going to leave the upper value. Let's give the upper value as 0.3, because we never want to put it higher than that, because that becomes too unstable. But hopefully, oh yeah, that's right. Look. Hopefully this is already fairly decent. So this is half. So I can see that it's slightly laggy, but it's still fast enough that it makes sense. Yeah. I like that. I like that. I think that's pretty cool. Yeah, I could go to 0.08, I guess, but I'm actually thinking that we should probably put the scale even just between that, because anything higher already went too much. I don't even know if I'm going to leave that slider in there. The slider is, you know, hey, come on. Oh, there we go. So I should have put a little label there that we could actually see what we put it to. Because that's definitely too laggy. But that feels pretty decent. Yeah. I think I like that default that we already had. So that was pretty okay. So I'm gonna leave that just in there as a control for now. Yeah, I guess I could try your 0.8. See how well that looks. The other thing that I just noticed is sometimes we're seeing the head in there. So I'm thinking that one of the things that I also want to do, and I'm going to actually make that part of this, is that now that we stabilize that, is that I'm going to say camera.transform.origin plus is camera transform basis.z times, just move it a centimeter forward. I might have just accidentally moved it a centimeter backwards, but I want to make sure that it is actually properly in front of my eyes. Yeah, I think that works fine. So, okay, I'm going to put this on. And I find this is the thing that I'll never understand of VR. But which I find so cool. And especially if I actually, while I'm in the headset, I'm also displaying my desktop. When I'm moving around, the view that you guys see and the view that's on the desktop is, even now is still, fairly, it feels very erratic when I'm moving my head, right? But in the headset, it feels natural. It feels, the world is not moving. The world is standing still. The brain's a funny thing. Anyway, yeah, now you guys can see it from a closer perspective. Oh yeah, that's right. I've made that. Okay. All right, let's continue with setting up our dummy so that our dummy doesn't keep misbehaving. But yeah, let me know how you guys find that view. Curious, good question. When you spawn objects, how do you guarantee the X form is in the position you expect it to spawn in? I noticed in instantiating, my player, they start at 0, for 1 frame, then move to the position set. I tried setting the X form before calling at child, but nada. Depends a bit on what you're spawning into. So when we're looking at the player, and in this case, in the new XR2.2, I am using this new approach where the player position is actually at my character body, and then my origin node is a child, and I've got logic inside that makes sure that the character body moves to where the XR origin point is, and the XR origin point moves back, which means that I can just put my character body wherever I want my player to be and where I want the player to spawn in. But the other thing that I'm doing, and that's one of the reasons why you first see the logo, because that splash screen that you guys are seeing is actually not Godot's splash screen. That is the splash screen that XR Tools has. Now, inside of XR Tools, when I'm in the headset, I'm actually seeing that projected in front of me. You guys see just as an image, and that's something that I've done in this construct setup, where you guys are just seeing the splash image, but I'm actually seeing what's inside of the VR sub viewport, which is something that is only enabled in desktop mode. If I export this to mobile or to Quest, I actually have a separate start scene on Android, so it just starts that main scene directly. But on default, I open up this construct. So what we're doing is when that main scene loads in, that is just showing our loading screen, which is showing our splash screen. That's just a standard origin that's placed on purpose somewhere in, you can see how big this is. So I've really scaled this up so that even if you're a meter forwards or a meter back or wherever I spawn in, it doesn't really matter. This is still going to look about the same size because the scale is so big. The other thing that's in here is there's a little bit of code that makes that splash screen slowly align itself with the direction that you're watching. Now, that means that you're inside of this environment when you start up. We then background load the actual scene that we're doing. So that's that main stage, this level. We're actually background loading that. We're adding it as a child under this under the scene node. And then after it's loaded, there's some code in here that will sort of fade the screen to black, switch over to the scene that's being loaded, and then fade it back in. Now, the nice thing is, because we're now fading into the new scene, when my scene is loaded, and I'm just having a look at where I'm calling that. So here my new scene gets put in there. So yeah, once it's loaded, I'm actually calling into that scene. I'm saying, hey, you're now loaded. So in my main scene, there is now a function here. Boom, say scene loaded. And that calls make current, which means that this camera now becomes current. So in our make current, we're setting our thing current. Now the thing that I'm missing, so I'm trying to think, where did I do that again? Or did I do that a little bit later? Maybe did I do that in scene visible instead? No, I don't. It's supposed to be, maybe I forgot that in this one. I might not have added that in this yet. Because it's supposed to do a recenter at that point in time. Because one of the features, oh yeah, no, I do that automatically now when we're loading in, because I've already got tracking. It's actually on the, that's right, I changed the way that works. So on my player here, if I go to that XRT dynamic player and I look at this script here, this script in its ready function, actually, where's the ready function? Let's see, so that's getting that. Yeah, so I'm getting my XRT singleton here, so I'm connecting to my pose recenter, and I'm calling pose recenter one time. And what does pose recenter do? Pose recenter is, at this point in time, interrogating what sort of play space I have. And this is a problem when I'm doing that or that, then obviously there's limited amounts of what I can do. But in this case, I'm doing a center on HMD so that gets centered. But then I do a little bit of extra work that makes sure that whatever my origin transform is, I actually place that on, in such a way that my player is now exactly where the character body is. So that's what this logic here does. So yeah, that's how I make sure that I know where my player is when the scene loaded. All my tracking is already active, so I know that I'm getting correct tracking data, and therefore I can reset everything properly. I believe that in this case, if I look, yeah, so I'm not using the position of the nodes. I'm going to the actual tracker. So I'm doing XR server get tracker. So I'm getting the actual tracker object. I'm getting the actual pose. I'm getting the actual transform there, because that is up to date. While the node might indeed, because it just got loaded, it hasn't run its process yet, it hasn't run its physics yet, it may not yet know where it is actually located. So that's why I'm doing that. Anyway, let's catch up on check SOP. This is hopefully going to be out end of this year, early next year. So in the next month, I would say. I've been wanting to open this up for a while now, but there's a couple of things around movement that I want to change first before I open it up to everybody else, simply because I'm expecting some big changes. And if I open it up right now and everybody starts building things with this, and I suddenly, pull the rug from underneath everybody, that's not going to be a fun experience. So I want to get that solid first before I make it available to people. Rico, good morning. How are you going? The fading logic is actually this little fade object here, which is just a quad mesh with a shader on top of it. And this shader does two special things. The first is it has an overridden vertex shader, so it ignores its transform. It just makes this a full screen quad. So it's always going to render full screen, and then I just render black with an alpha, and then there's just a little bit of logic around that that just makes sure that I only do this if I actually have a fade value. So if it's completely transparent, I just hide the object. I don't want to waste performance there. But the moment that you start fading in, it draws a full screen quad. And again, because I'm overriding the vertex position here, that's going to be full screen for both the left and the right eye. It's not going to care about your actual eye position and stuff like that. So I'm completely overriding the transform logic. I'm just saying, boom, this just needs to be in what they call NDC coordinates. Just full screen on NDC, and thank you. In XR Tools 1, I haven't ported that over to this one yet. I've actually also got a version that, instead of blacking out the whole screen, is actually just blacking out a peripheral and creating a vignette. The part you are doing right now is what I'm struggling with the XRT1. Yeah, because XRT1 doesn't do physics properly because we're just pairing stuff. This requires the logic that we have in that. The other thing, of course, also digital is this only works with Jolt. Long live Jolt. As we were discussing at the beginning, even just the ragdoll in Godot physics is just broken as can be. So yeah. Yeah, I would say it doesn't really bother me because of the sort of the environment that I've got. But yeah, the problem that you have is, I think the problem that we have with VR, and I don't think this is limited to Quest, is because we render this nice image and we then get that lens distorted inside of the headset. Only the center little bit of the screen, actually that zooms in a little bit, that actually gets expanded a little bit, but everything else is sort of wrapped around this. Well, I can actually, if I quickly go and look, let me just open up a second copy of Godot just real quick. Let's see. Because it's kind of fun. I've got actually a desktop test thingy for this. But I just need to see where is the right version. So I'm just opening Godot 3.2 for a minute. Let's see if I still have. Yeah, that is actually already in 4. Why did I already change that to 4? All right, then I'll open a second copy of 4. Can I open a second copy of 4? Sure I can. Yep, it allows me to open a second copy of 4. Why not? I had it a minute ago. Where are you? Test here. Oh, don't go full screen on me. Today, please. This is actually going to be really interesting whether this actually still works. And another thing, actually, I want to test one other thing after we test this. Let's see if I play this. Does that work? Yeah. So this is the normal view. But where are you? Native. So let's go. I always forget what good values are for this. Those are not good values. 0.2, do something like this. Let's see if that works. Actually, you know what? Even a better idea is if I just comment this out and just use the default values. Unless this is not going to work, of course, because I'm overriding this in this one. Okay, so I need a different project. I need a different project that's almost the same. Quit the project lists. Because I got a couple of those. But I should have one that does not do the screen, because to get all the UI on there, I'm actually grabbing the original render result and then displaying it in a quad. But I want to actually have the built-in presentation logic. Too many things in here. So I think this one is probably, yeah, that's fine. Yeah, okay, so that one I should really have opened in 4.3, but whatever. Come on. Yeah, this is a really small project. Why are you taking so long to open? Oh, and of course it's, there we go. It opened half off screen. I couldn't actually move it. Let's just go to one viewport. Let's run this. What? I also changed that one. Really? Why do I do that to myself? Oops, that was the wrong option. Come on, that was the wrong one. I needed to get to the project thing. I have a whole bunch of these little test projects that that just use the mobile interface, the mobile VR interface. Don't do that. Come on. But I've changed a whole bunch of them to actually add UIs to them. So I need to find one that I did not do that to. And I'm also converting all of them to 4.4, which is horrible, of course. Because that means that I can't use them as 4.3 test project anymore. Ah, well. I'll survive. These are all such small test things anyway, so... Yeah, it's doing the same bloody thing again. Okay, please be a normal one. There we go. That one is, I think, normal. So in this case, let's go and take out these values so that we just use the defaults. And it's still... Really? Have I changed this one too? No. That does not make sense. No. Mobile. Your interface. 0.20. So that's the default value. So why is that not working? Doesn't have to be precise. Oh, I love it when I haven't used something for a while and then just come back and find out that it's broken. Why is this broken? Why is this suddenly broken? Maybe it's that preview thing that screws it up. It's possible. But our lens distortion is no longer working. And of course, now I've screwed up this project. Oh, I've got a couple more. So let's go back to 3. Yeah, I don't mind a tangent from time to time, but I'm really upset that this is not just working. So I'll test with this one. Oh, that one was last opened in 4.1. Oh, that's all right. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Now, if I comment that out, we should back to default values. Yay! We have lens distortion. Hooray! Okay, so Anyway, the point is that is actually this is a good approximation of what's actually shown inside of your headset. And what you can see, well, in this case, the lens distortion is not too bad, but obviously everything that goes to the side is all sort of compressed, right? And only the bit that's actually at your eye, that's actually getting a little bit zoomed in. It's also why you see that this text, for instance, is suddenly warped, which also means that, this text was nicely rendered with anti-aliasing and all that sort of jazz, and now we're distorting it and we lose part of the anti-aliasing because we lose the pixels that do the anti-aliasing. So yeah, the lens distortion logic itself has some drawbacks. Plus that, of course, if you then also add in foveated rendering with it, which is not in this example, it was one of the other examples, then obviously you also get that everything in the outer rim starts getting rendered at a lower resolution, because if it's compressing it anyway and most of the pixels aren't even shown on screen, then, you know, why render at a higher resolution? So what you then obviously get is that as part of the image gets compressed, you start losing that aliasing detail, and suddenly you get these much harder edges, and you will get that edges start flickering, because all of a sudden, if you move your head just even a slight bit, different pixels will become visible, and other pixels will be the ones that lose out when the image compresses. So that, I think, is what the problem is. All right, now there's one more thing that I do want to try out. So I'm going to go back into 4.4 and let's just open up that fog example. Okay, all good. Yeah, come on, load it up. There we go. So let's actually go and just comment these out. We should be going to default values now and play again. So we see that our lens distortion is gone. All right. So what I now want to do is I actually want to go and export this, and I'm going to export a. Oh, I don't have a Windows compiled version yet. Okay, I don't know what's going on here. Okay. I'm just going to make a note that I need to make a test project, and I need to okay. I should. You. Okay, I'm going to put that over here. Yeah, I'm running European break stands. Okay, cool. So the other thing that I want to try before we proceed, and for that we're going to go back into project settings, and I'm actually going to change this to main. So we're not going to start our constructs. We're going to start our normal view. See, are you still up and running? Wake up. Wake up, buddy. Nope, we have been thrown out of SteamVR. Yay! I guess I was taking too much time. Hey, come on. All right, it's probably going to complain that we don't have the right session. Nope, it goes in. Yay! Okay. Da-da-da, da-da-da. Oh, see, that's what I was talking about, that we have the splash screen there, and only once I hold my trigger, then the game loads, and that means that we have our tracking. But the thing that I wanted to test was whether this was also broken, but this is still working. Yay! So it's only in the mobile VR interface that we are having a problem. Okay. In the end, the lens distortion thing in the mobile VR interface is a nice thing, but I don't think many people use it. So, although I do know that 1 or 2 people actually do use it, because they do cardboard stuff, so cardboard VR stuff, and So yeah, we can't afford to break that. So now I'm hoping that it's just broken in debug. So when we're testing it out and when we are using, the runtime version, which will then have the normal output, it'll work fine, I hope. Okay. Could we make a new type of AA to compensate for it? No, we can't, because unfortunately this happens on the compositor. So this happens inside of quests/meta's runtime, right? So we don't have any control over. We are just rendering the normal undistorted image, giving that to OpenXR, and at that point in time, we don't have much control over it. That said, I am surprised. Well, I'm not really surprised because I'm not really sure how they would even do it. How you would get enough information to do aliasing. Because for instance, you can't use MSAA. So you can't keep your normal buffer in MSAA and then resolve as part of the lens distortion, because you would quadruple your bandwidth usage and you would just lose all your performance. So yeah, it's a tough one, that one. That said, I do know that a number of games do seem to have, less of a problem with it. And whether they do something that I'm not aware of or whether it is something else, I really don't know. Anyway, let's get back on track and let's get back to finishing our ragdoll, because I don't think we're going to be doing much. Don't do this. Much else tonight, although I'm having fun with getting this ragdoll to work properly. So we have that. We have our shoulders working properly, but I wanted to get our shoulders, make sure that they go back to where they should be going. So no, it's not that guy. It is the clavicle. There we go. So what we're going to need to do is we are going to want to do an angular spring again. And then again, that's the thing is we don't. What did we do for on the head as values? On the neck, I mean. Because we did an angular spring on the Y there. Full stiffness and a little bit of damping. Okay, we'll see if those values will work here as well. So that's full. Well, I don't know if that's full stiffness or not, because we don't know what that is. Is that in newtons or is that a percentage or factor? I don't know. But as long as it tries to move the shoulders or keep the shoulders in their natural position and only move it when we exert a force on it, I am already happy with what it does. So let's go and see. So we've now only done it for the left shoulder, or the right. No, it's the right shoulder. We haven't done it for the left shoulder. So we should be seeing a difference between the two. Oh, I haven't changed it back to. Let me do that first. Let's go get, because now you can see it all go messy again. Project settings. All right. Okay, dude, let's go and pick you up. Well, that does not seem to have done much. Why does it always want to rotate? So annoying. So yeah, it is not trying to move it back into position. So does that mean that we should make this much more stiff? Is it on both axes? Because the damping will just move, prevent it moving all sorts of ways. Come on. Why are you being so annoying? Well, I don't know. Starting to wonder if our angular spring is actually working. That is, I'm not sure what that is. Okay, let's go. Let's go crazy. So it's it's actually on the X that I want it to be. I'm just gonna go and see if I really crank up the stiffness, whether that actually moves it in the right direction. It's still just, it's supposed to be there. You're supposed to be there, but you just hang like that. You're just slumping. I have a feeling that that spring isn't doing much. I don't know. Unless I've got, no, I've got the right bone. Well, I know one other way that we can just deal with this. And that is that we just don't allow it to fall down. We only allow it to go up. It's fine by me too. Yeah, I mean, it's not allowed to slump the shoulders. It's fine. Okay, let's see if that indeed looks well. Okay, might be the other limit that we need to do. Actually, let's go back here and let's add the -30 back there and do that. And then, do we need to save that? Let's save it just in case. See if that immediately has an effect or not. I can't see yet. No, they're still both slumping. Oh, I knocked the thing on the ground. Okay, that could just be because adjusting it didn't have an immediate effect. Or I'm doing it on the wrong axes. That's also possible. Am I on the X? I'm on the X. As far as I know, the X is the up-down movement in this case. Wish that we had help, that we actually knew what these things meant. I'm almost thinking maybe I should just limit the movement loads and see if that makes a difference. Although again, we changed it live, so maybe I'm just being okay, because now it is close to where it should be. Yeah, maybe I was just being impatient, changing it online. So let's just do it. This one and this -30. Was it that way around or not? Or was that what we started with? That's also possible, of course. That's what I get for not testing it immediately. No, that's actually now. Yeah, now we can see that the left or the right one stays on the. So I can move it up, but I can't move it down. So that's pretty cool. And that, so yeah, let's just do that. I wish we could do it with a spring, but spring ain't working. All right, so let's copy that over here. So no, that's not the right one. This one. So let's do that. Let's test it real quick. Let's make sure that that one works the same, because we might actually need to revert that or reverse that. No, that looks good. Yeah, which goes up, but I can't move it more down. Okay, I was getting there. All right. So I'm happy with the collision shapes on the arms, but again, I think we want to limit how much the arms can move. So let's start with you. Upper arm. So we want to be able to move in the X rotation and again in the Y rotation. But then in the Y rotation, we don't want to get too far in, but we can all the way out. I'm going to, in this case, I'm going to do one axis at a time to see where we get. So this guy needs to change into a 6-dove, and I actually want to start just doing the Y. And we want an angular limit. And let's do just an upper limit of 120 and a lower. So either we're now going to be able to move it all the way inside the body, or we're going to be able to move it all the way up, but not further than that. Obviously, we do want then a lower limit to move it slightly more in, but we don't have to move it in too far. And again, this is again where we would like to have the spring working. All right, so that actually does look like, okay, can I just grab you like that? And now I want to grab you here. So yeah, I'm allowed to move it that way, but I'm also still allowed to move it this way. And it actually is allowing me to move like that, which it should be restricting. Okay. We did an angular limit here. Just the Y. We don't have an angular limit on the other axes. It should only allow us to move it a little bit. All right, let's go crazy and put in a little bit of helper scenes that I prepared earlier. Let's put it on this instead. Really? Is it like that? Okay, maybe. Oh, shit. I hate it when it jumps around like that. 0.1, 0.05. That's good enough. So that gives us some extra arrows. Actually, I'll do one at one. There we go. It gives us some arrows on that object so that we can see its positioning. We want to do the same thing for this guy. Keeps jumping around again. So we can see whether we're actually doing something sensible. Okay, I'm also going to just put this really low so that we just allow a little bit of movement, and we're going to see whether we actually can do something with that. All right. Okay. Why is it jumping around so much? Well, now it looks like, yeah, I can't do much with this arm. It's actually the that joint that is moving. Because I did allow that joint to move back and forward a bit, and that's what I'm seeing moving. And in this case, I'm actually rotating. I thought we disabled the Z rotation on that bone. Or are we rotating the whole body? No, I don't. Maybe. I think I also need one of these on the center of my thing. I'm wondering if it just makes more sense because we're not trying to make a dummy that has full range. If we just limit the angle that we can move the arms just a little bit, because all that we're trying to do is give it a little bit of motion. Let's see. One second. Okay. So, yeah, I'm wondering if we should just give it all just a little bit of rotation possibility, but just not much. I think for our goals, that is actually more than enough. Also, I wanted to, not on the neck, on this one, I also wanted to create our axes. Just to see whether that is what we're rotating. I'm a little bit afraid that might actually, that one probably needs to be a little bit bigger just so that we can see it. Oh no, because we got the thing transparent. So as long as we leave the dummy transparent, we should be able to see it. Obviously, I'm gonna delete all those axes things, but okay, so let's go and then go to the underarm one. So that's this one. And again, I'm just going to do exactly the same thing. I'm going to make that a 6 dove. And we're just going to give that... Oh, not spring enabled. It's linear. No, this one. 10 minus 10 is more than enough. And we're doing the same on the Y. No. 10 minus 10. All right, let's go and have a look and see. Whether that is now working. All right, we didn't get a thing on that. So yeah, so now it really doesn't like that very much, does it? Okay. So yeah, I can move this a little bit, but not much. But again, for our purposes today, that's actually not bad. So it can move a little bit, but at least it doesn't go nuts anymore like the legs right now are. So yeah, let's do the same thing for the hand. Oh yeah, that was the last thing that I wanted to check. Come on, dude. Let me grab your arm. Ah. Let me grab your arm. There we go. Grab your arm. Yeah, so... see, that's what I thought. So it's actually when we were thinking that the arm was rotating in a way that we thought we didn't allow. No, it is rotating on that one. Oh, hold on. Did I get that wrong after all? Green is Y, so maybe I just restricted on the wrong one. Yeah, green is the Y, so I think that's what we did wrong. because on this one, the green was indeed in length. No, which one was the one that we... Or is that because the collision shapes are rotated? Select this one. Ah, because that one, okay. Okay, so what I really need to do, I should have put it on there because we can't see the right ones. I thought I put that. Yeah, there. Where's it gone? Oh, sorry. That confused me. Yeah, so now it makes sense. So yeah, it shouldn't be rotating around that axis. Blue is the z-axis. So we have 0 limit on the z. So why are we allowed to rotate around that one? That makes no sense. Anyway, let's make sure that all of these are positioned in a way that they actually make sense. So they're actually positioned according to the orientation of that one. Okay. So the last one that we really want to do is the hand. Oh, the other thing that we forgot to do is everything that we've done. It's a clavicle and an upper arm collision shape. Let's go and make sure that we change the color so that we know that we've done that one. Done this one. Okay, so now let's go and do this one. 6 dove, and again we want to, because this is the weird one that is actually, that is a really weird rotation because it's actually affecting the whole hand, but it's for some reason it's gone over there. I'm actually thinking that, no, I do want to keep that in there. Again, the problem then is around which axes do we want to allow the rotation when it is like that. Well, we're gonna just do X and Y again and just see whether it does at least something sensible. Because all I want to do is that the hand doesn't just flip around and move unrestricted. That's really all that we're trying to accomplish here. Okay, and let's go and give our collision shape a color just to let know that we are happy with how that hand is set up. All right, so how have we got that? So that one we already adjusted. So let's go and do the same thing on these. So first, 6 dove, and let's just assume that we can use the same settings again. Okay, let's go and make sure that that's colored. Six dove. So -10. Oh, we also want to do the Y. 10 and -10. There we go. And then the hands. And then we just have the legs left. So let's go and see if the arms now somewhat behave. And again, because it's just a ragdoll, just a test, it doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be a lot better than what we started with. All right. So eventually I want to remove those axes again. Okay. So that's going well. Yeah, I definitely need to change it to straight instead of turn. Or make my other arm or my other hand do turn. Come on. It's the other thing, because of the way that I position the hands when I grab the dummy, sometimes the hands when I let go get stuck inside of the dummy. But that said, my arms are behaving somewhat better. So now it's just, let's see if we can do something with the legs that makes sense. Because the feet are not supposed to move like that. Oh, my selection thing is not is misbehaving. There's still something wrong. That sometimes the selection thing does not actually get removed. Whatever. Okay. Legs. This is becoming a bigger and bigger mess. Yeah, I am not liking that at all. So here the weird thing is, can't really see very. So yeah, I've got that one selected. That one's that one. So I guess it's that's the pelvis. And then we have we immediately go to the thighs. And I actually think that when we look at the pelvis, yeah, there is no joint there. That's right, because that's just the start. So it's still kind of weird that that still sort of does move in a way, but let's just go and change these two and just give them the same values as what we did with the arms. In this case, again, we don't want to rotate around that axis, so I'm guessing Y and X again. Hey, Roman, how you going? Okay, so 10 minus 10. Yeah, we're trying to make it dance a little bit less. You know, a little bit dancing is okay, but not a lot of dancing. Let's go and give that one a color again, just so that we know that I've set that one. And let's also do this one. Minus 10. Let's see if that does anything that is even close to sensible. Okay. I can't really grab it. I'm trying to lift you. And my desk is getting in the way, which is a problem. Oh, there we go. So I want to grab you on the leg. No, I don't want the arm. I want the leg. Go away with your arm. There we go. So, yeah, that's no longer rotating. That's still. But yeah, the legs are a lot better constrained. All right. I think that I'm just going to go and use those same values on the just going to use the same values on the rest of the bones, and I think that will be good enough for what we want to do with this guy. Hey, Louise, we are trying to make this ragdoll that we can actually interact with in VR right now the ragdoll allows complete freedom of movement of all the joints, which is dumb. So, oh, I actually changed that. I didn't change that one. Okay. That's weird. Huh. Okay, so this should actually finish the one leg. So yeah, I'm trying to make it not be completely nuts. It's still meant as just a dummy hanging from a frame, so that we can have some fun with it. Just to experiment with the with physics interaction in the VR. There we go. So it's not the perfect setup for the ragdoll, but it's a good base. And it's like my first time that I'm really playing around with the ragdoll logic in Godot, just to see how well that works. And then it's just another fun little demo that shows off what you can do with this. Now, I do think that I'm going to make it a little bit more 10 again. And now the foot. Okay. And I'm thinking that I want to create another little arch like I've done with the boxing thing. Maybe even reuse that. Just to make it clear that, yeah, it is hanging. Which actually also means that I might just be happy. Is that we just start physics simulation right away. And just say, well, you know, we can immediately do something with this guy. All right, so he's immediately now starting to do stuff, because now we can also just, come on, I just hit my microphone. So we can now just push him around and sort of go, but now I just want something visual to show that we got him hanging somewhere. Sorry, I keep hitting my microphone. But that said, he's now actually sort of behaving in a way that makes sense. You know, as you would expect a mannequin to move, right? That's actually something that I believe they are working on at the moment, which is why the debug window is changed how it looks. Anyway, so we got that. So what I really want to do now. Yeah, I don't really. Well, for now, I'm adding these little axes things just to help me see it, but the idea is, let me just get this started. Because I haven't tried this out yet, but I know that they're working on this. So I don't know how much of this works yet. So if we go to 3D mode, I thought that there. Yeah, and I think that probably doesn't work because it doesn't actually know this. Because this is not a 3D scene anymore. Because this is just now... no, it is actually, because we're now showing the 3D spectator cam. Oh, oh yeah, it's because we got input. So yeah, you would actually expect that we could click on things. I have a feeling that that this is still being worked on. Yeah, I don't think it works yet, but there is work being done that you can actually interact with the with what you're doing. So yeah, no, if you mean that for the joints, then no, it's you have all these funky little things that you see that it draws, these boxes and stuff, and that does show some of the limits, but because it shows every joint, not just what you've got selected, it's unusable. You can see that it's become one big mess. But yeah, all of these yeah, they have some limit information in there, but it's spaghetti. So yeah. Obviously, you know, the rotation for normal things, so non-bone things, that's all fine, but because we're now doing the whole bone setup, no. Okay, so let's get rid of those. And I want to get rid of my temporary material, so he's back to normal. Let's go and have a look and see. Yeah, so he's still distorting a little bit in the shoulders, but generally, no, I didn't want to grab you on the arm. Yeah, for the most part. I got you by the leg. Whee! Zoing. It is pretty cool. It is hilarious. So yeah, that's one of the problems that I still need to fix. Okay. I think as far as Mr. Ragdoll here is concerned, you know, one of the things that I would like is that you can actually take it off that joint, but that's for another day. Okay. Alrighty. All right. I'm actually going to do one thing before we continue. Just on a whim that I just realized. So I'm going to go back to my project list. You go and sit there. And I'm just going to go and open up. Okay. Where are you? Tutorials. Oh yeah, that was a good. That was not really what I had in mind. rmdeer.godot. Bye bye. Let's see if that might have something to do with my help files. Not. So this means also that I lost my size of my window, but that's okay. Now it needs to convert everything. Complain about some things not being unique. Hey. To figure out what that is. Yeah, man. Let's see how much we broke. Oh, I wonder if it's going to overwrite my textures again. That'd be fun. Come on. All right. We're back. Okay, so the thing that I wanted to find out is whether our issue is resolved. Oh, right. There we go. Nope. Jay, so that's it. Cool. All right, that is interesting. Okay, so look, all my things are back. Ha! So something's changed probably in the format. Okay, so this is actually not a bug. This is just me sitting on the front row seat, and that's fine. So now if I go into XR2 Tools, look at that. There's a whole help page here with all our information. So I don't know, Gordon, if you're still around, but we got that working. Okay, I'm just going to tell the guys that I have found out what's going on. Sorry, guys, I'm just letting people know that we found why that wasn't working. All right, I'm more than happy about that. Okay, so we solved our mystery with why our help pages were no longer working. Very happy about that. Now, our textures are still good, so I don't have to worry about that. Very cool. That was a problem that we found in the last stream. Our ragdoll is now working properly. I do think that I would like to have him actually hanging from something instead of just hanging in midair without any real reason to why he's hanging. But he's ragdolling, so I am quite happy about that. And now the ragdoll isn't moving crazily anymore. It's actually moving somewhat more sensible for a dummy. So pretty happy about that. That is pretty decent. All right, it is past midnight for me, guys. So I am thinking about ending it there. Not sure when I'll stream next. I might actually stream a little bit regularly in the next couple of weeks, depending on how things go, because I'm actually on holidays. So, yeah, either I'm going to be very busy or I'm going to have plenty of time. But yeah, the plan is to start looking at this as something to reproduce in Godot and see if I can make that work, because that might solve some of my issues that I'm having. So that is probably the next thing that I'm going to be working on. So yeah, unless there are any more questions in chat or anything that anybody wants to talk about before we call it a night, I think it is way past my bedtime. Yeah. Pretty happy with our end result. We got a properly working ragdoll. What else did we do? Oh yeah, we created the stabilized camera option, which is really nice. So that was, and again, I'd like some feedback on that from people. Like, is that indeed better to watch VR content like that? That's one of the other things that I'm thinking about doing is for the spectator camera, where, you know, first of all, I still need to make the camera interactable so that I can actually move it around and decide, you know, where it is. So I decide the view that you guys get. But the other thing that I really want to do with the spectator camera is to make it work either by you know, tracking one of the trackers, especially if you're using lighthouses, you can use the XTC trackers to track the camera, so that we could link it up with an actual real camera. I did a stream a long time ago. We're experimenting with that. But what I really want to do is have the spectator camera match up with the real camera and see if we can get sort of like a green screen thing going. Now, I have no idea whether the webcam functionality in Godot is working, or is working on Windows, because that's one of the problems that we have, is that we've done a lot of work lately, but there's only a couple of platforms that support the camera logic that's built into Godot, like the webcam logic. So that's another thing that I want to look into. Although there's a bunch of external applications that allow you to do it, like Live and Mixcast, and probably others. And I wouldn't mind figuring out if we can tie into that and sort of go like, okay, because those programs have done a lot of work in automating the matching of the what a webcam sees with what the 3D camera setup. Because obviously our camera settings, you know, our field of view and our planes and stuff like that, they are going to define whether everything matches up between you know, what the real camera sees and what the virtual world sees. So that's something that I actually want to play around with as well and see if I can make that work. Yeah. Gonna leave it there, guys. So everybody, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope it excuse me, I hope I'll see you guys on the next stream. So thank you very much, and see you next time.